Okay, we'll start with this. It would seem that Amanda Serrano's announcement for her upcoming fight next month has elicited some criticism. Some boo birds are already out. Blunson Boxing said, "Remember those fans clamoring to talk down Kay Scott as an opponent for Claressa Shields? Curious where those loud, obnoxious voices are for this opponent." Sort of a false equivalency argument, because Lucretia Manzur, as an opponent, does not negate the criticisms often levied against Claressa and the divisions that she campaigns in, that they are in fact the thinnest divisions in women's boxing with the least amount of women campaigning in them. That's just an irrefutable fact. That's just the truth, and if anything, Lucretia Manzur confirms that truth. Take stock of who Claressa Shields fought for undisputed in the women's heavyweight division. A 42-year-old fighter with only 5 professional fights in Danielle Perkins, who ahead of the fight with Claressa had never even fought in a 10-rounder, a championship boxing match, and was coming off a year layoff. This is who she fought for undisputed, needless to say. Lucretia Manzur, compared to Danielle Perkins, while not perfect, is in fact a more experienced fighter than Danielle was. She is a veteran of 18 professional bouts, whereas Danielle, she only had 5. The girl that Claressa's about to fight, Kay Scott, she's only got about 6 or 7. A record of 5 wins with 1 loss and 1 draw at 42 years old. Another fighter in their 40s. Another one to where, if you want to compare them, let's compare. Lucretia Manzur, while a journeyman and a gatekeeper, is also a more experienced professional than Kay Scott, and she's a lot younger too, at 27. So how does taking a shot at her invalidate the criticisms often levied against Claressa, that a lot of these girls she's fighting, they're old, they're inexperienced, these divisions are shallow and tepid? There's no real talent pool up there. How does Amanda Serrano fighting Lucretia Manzur change that? If anything, it proves that even a journeywoman in the featherweight division is more experienced and better than most of the fighters you'll find at heavyweight, light heavyweight, even middle. The only way to argue on Claressa Shields' behalf is to be dishonest, as she often is, because all these people she's got problems with, she's the one that starts them. She initiates all that shit. The beef that she has with MVP is a beef that she started more than 6 years ago when she started taking shots at Jake, started taking shots at them. She's the one who started taking shots at Amanda for being with them. Instead of being happy for her, she did the whole guilty by association thing. Guilty by proxy. The beef that she's got with Cameron, taking shots at Rolly Romero, taking shots at Keith Thurman. She initiated all of that. She started all of that. So why are people pretending that it's the other way around? Why are people rewarding her bad behavior? And it's because her obnoxious behavior mirrors theirs. They see something in her that they see in themselves, and they would like to believe that they are victims. Victims of what? People not liking you because you're obnoxious? What are you a victim of? What is she a victim of? The boxing media still tries very hard to push Claressa Shields down our eyes, our noses, and throats as the best thing smoking for fighting these aged fighters, many of which are not experienced, trying to convince us that she is the greatest woman of all times, that she currently is pound for pound #1. The media does not mistreat Claressa Shields, and they've been groveling at her feet for years, so she's not being mistreated by them. She's not a victim of anything at their hands, but if the boxing community at large, if the fans themselves don't gravitate towards her, that doesn't make her a victim. Makes her a social pariah. They don't have to like her. Doesn't matter how many vacant titles she picks up in how many barren weight classes. It's not written on any piece of parchment that if she wins a certain number of belts, you have to support her. You have to like her. She's proof. There is a little bit more to it than just winning titles. Arguing on Claressa Shields' behalf can only be done so by removing all context and all nuance. Oh, you want to be critical of Amanda that she's fighting Lucretia Manzur, but the whole time you're praising Claressa Shields for pouncing on 40-year-olds in empty divisions. If you find that shit impressive, then why are you so critical of this? You're sort of giving it away. You're just a hypocrite. A hypocrite with an agenda. And this is little more than a false equivalency argument, because Danielle Perkins is not equivalent to Lucretia Manzur. Kay Scott is not equivocal to Lucretia Manzur. Lucretia's literally more experienced than the both of them.
Off the back of Zayas and Boots, how close are we to like an Ortiz fight for Boots?
We haven't really heard anything, to be honest. Like, I mean, I just said to Mannix up there, it's like, everyone's on me. They're like, make the fight, Eddie. It's like, what about you make the fight? Do you know what I mean? We like
the Golden Boy, yeah.
Well, but anyone, the zone. I mean, like, the reality is, when we agreed that fight last time, we were taking the smaller end of the deal, which I didn't agree with at all. But Boots was like, listen, let me go and fight him, I'll beat him, and then we'll be in a great position. That fight didn't happen, right? We signed for that fight. They didn't. I do believe they wanted the fight, but obviously they had their mess. We went out and had a gift from God to fight Xander Zayas, and thank you, Xander, for being the champion, and thank you, Top Rank, for rolling the dice. And on June 27th, a new star was born in Jerome Boots Ennis. Rick Mirigian, who I love, but you know, is a little bit skewed because of his love for his fighters, comes back and says, well, we've done the deal. It's like, no, we did a deal when we weren't even champion, when we were half the fighter we were in terms of profile and star value. Now we're unified world champion and you're a voluntary defence. Now, I'm not going to come out and say you should get 20% as a voluntary challenger, but do not think the deal's the same. We've got multiple options for Jerome Ennis. We've got Josh Kelly. We've got Sebastian Fondora. We love the Vergil Ortiz fight. And I stand by all my comments previously. It is one of the very best fights in the sport. Boots will take it like that. But I have to go and present an offer to Jerome Ennis. And I can do that by having a chat and seeing the numbers. But if you're like, it's always, make the fight, Eddie. It's like, make the offer. Right? So, Golden Boy, the zone. If you want to challenge the champ, make the offer to the champ. If not, we'll sit down and we'll tell you what you're getting for the fight, and then we'll work with Golden Boy or co-promote, no problem. But respect what he's done, respect the situation, and respect that today's price is not yesterday's price.
It's a valid point, because a lot has happened from the time that Boots Ennis and Vergil entered negotiations and the fight fell apart till now. Now, Jerryn Ennis is a unified junior middleweight champion, a two-weight world champion, and you can't go into those negotiations now thinking that you're going to get what you were going to get before. Or do you guys think that Rick Mirigian and Oscar De La Hoya would accept that fight for Vergil for anything less than half or close to half, bringing little more to the table than an interim title that Boots can't win anyway because he's a full world champion? Responding to Eddie Hearn, veteran manager Rick Mirigian said, "I'm not skewed because I care so much about my guys. Most managers pretend or forget what side of the table they're on. I don't, and I will go to war for any of them, and have," talking about his fighters, and showed it, and did so in a respectful way and got real results. But facts are facts. You're the leader in global boxing and events, and a polarizing figure in the sport. You surely can't rest at night having yet another voluntary fight for your killer. I mean, he's had 37 fights. Not one boxing fan knows who he beat, or Xander, to get those belts.
Not this again.
Not one. You're talking like this is AJ or Bam, and those belts came from other world-class guys and are legacy belts. The one you're wearing now is worth more. They are from the guys at Gino's Cheesesteaks after the late-night shift.
Rick, whatever they are, it's more than you've got.
He is a good fighter, no question, but he is not a great fighter until he beats one.
And what great fighters did Vergil beat?
Let him spread his wings and fly, Sir Edward, and give the boxing fans what you're known for more than anything, the biggest fights on the planet. All 37 guys are all voluntary picked opponents, as there is not one opponent in the 37 that you would qualify as a B-level or higher, let alone world class. No one said the deal has to be the same, or will be so.
So let me stop you right there, Peanut Ricky. You're trying to downplay the validity of the belts that Jerryn Ennis holds when everybody knows who he won those belts from. He won them from Xander.
The same guy you were prepared to give a 50-50 split. Remember?
And that was when he only had one belt. The one that he forced Sebastian Fundora to vacate. Why'd you leave that part out?
You guys were prepared to give Xander Zayas a 50-50 split when he only had one belt. Since then he won two, and since then he lost them both to Jerryn Ennis. So you can't go into this set of negotiations, this new set of negotiations, thinking you're gonna get what you were gonna get before.
That's the first thing.
The second thing, Boots is not obligated to enter negotiations with you so that you can then waste his time when there's a perfectly fine fight, a unification match on the table that would likely be easier to make.
That could happen before the year is out.
Rick Mirigian continued, "You said that like I'm some clueless bloke. You and Oscar can fight over the 5 to 10%, and he is a fighter, trust me. Of all people I know, this is a super fight the sport needs, and the network and the loyal subscribers paying $600 a year. I'm in no place to manage your guy, but the smart move for you is to make the money fight and get it done in their prime, undefeated, and it's the biggest fight in the sport to make. And when your guy loses,
This is not the biggest fight in the sport to make. I can name at least 5 fights bigger than this.
just have him fight Josh Kelly and all is well in the castle. Managing 101. I have Sugar Ray Leonard's signed rookie card for your desk next time I see you regardless. I get it. After that third round, you know what we all do. And the last thing you want is Vergil winning by knockout in 8 or less. And Oscar right there to make sure the world knows."
He brings up the third round in the Zayas fight quite predictably because we saw Boots hurt in that round. But we've seen Vergil Ortiz hurt too. We've seen him down more times than we've ever seen Boots. 3 by my count. Once with Igis Kavaliauskas at welterweight and 2 times in the Boachuk fight.
Pardon me for saying so, but this is not a super fight. Vergil Ortiz does not bring a belt to the table or the size audience that would make this a super fight. At the very most, this is a solid fight in the junior middleweight division, but I don't see a fight that brings in 1 million or even 500,000 pay-per-view buys.
So don't call it a super fight because it's not. What you are is desperate, because if Boots does not indulge you,
You don't have a segue to another big fight and another big purse.
you don't. What are you gonna do?
Josh Kelly. You know, Boots want to unify the titles. You know what I mean? What I mean by unify, be undisputed. Undisputed.
You know, a name you didn't say is Vergil Ortiz.
Yeah, but we don't even think about him now. He made us wait. When Boots got in the ring, said we going to fight, sign a contract, and then all of a sudden, him and De La Hoya fell out, and now they all back together again. So what do you think that was? You know what I mean? At that time, they must didn't want to fight him, but you want sound him. You want someone come on in the ring and all that stuff. So you know what I mean? I ain't said talking nothing bad about him, but that's the way it seemed to everybody now. You know what I mean? So he's on the back burner.
If Team Ennis are now more focused on Undisputed than they are Vergil, I could hardly begrudge them that. That's what I ask for from the fighters all the time. Pursue unifications. Pursue Undisputed. Be the last man standing. Vergil had a head start.
Vergil's been at this weight for a little over 2 years now, debuting there in April of 2024 against Frederick Lawson. The whole 2 years you've been there, you're saying that you never had an opportunity to box for a belt, box for a title.
Stop it.
You're expecting to get the moon and the stars because you fought who? Israel Madrimov off a loss? And Sergey Boachuk. How is that victory aging?
You've been WBC interim champion for 2 years, literally. And that whole time, you never pressed the WBC to order the fight between you and Sebastian. You're not doing that now.
So fucking what if Boots wants to go unify with Josh Kelly? It's an easier fight to make. For me, interchangeable between an Ortiz fight or a Kelly fight. I could go for both.
Though if what Boots wants is more belts and you don't have one, then go fucking get one. What's stopping you?
If he fights Josh Kelly in the fall, you can try to fight Sebastian Fundora in the fall, then meet up with Boots in the coming calendar year. It's actually an easy fix. It's nowhere near as complicated as Rick Mirigian makes it.
So then why don't they do it?
I think it's because they reached some sort of backdoor deal with Samson Lukowicz that they would leave him and his fighter alone, that they would not have Vergil pressure Sebastian for the shot. They would guide Vergil in a different direction because it makes absolutely no sense to fight for an interim title and then sit on it for 2 years without pressing the WBC to order the fight, without pressing Sebastian to give it to you.
It doesn't make any fucking sense. You should have had a belt by now. How have you been at junior middleweight for 2 years where Boots has been there for just 2 fights and he already has 2 belts? You have none.
Think about it. As soon as Xander Zayas became the WBO's interim champion, he was in Sebastian Fundora's face at his fight, pressing for his title shot as soon as he became interim champion. But where was Vergil?
Zayas was the interim via the WBO. Vergil was the interim via the WBC. Only one of those fighters put any pressure on Sebastian to fight. Only one of those fighters forced him to vacate.
And it wasn't Vergil, so that if you don't have anything to show for it now, Tough titty, bitch.
Tough break, kid.
And they're now expecting us to look at Xander Zayas as being small potatoes because supposedly nobody knows who he won his belts from.
Well, they know who Boots won his belts from, don't they?
Rick Mirigian is being a manager, doing what managers do. Talking a bunch of fucking nothing while looking for the biggest purse for his fighter. But his fighter doesn't actually deserve it. And that's the truth. The truth is that for negotiating with Team Ortiz, which could take weeks and months, they could make a Josh Kelly fight in less time with less friction.
How you feel about this situation likely depends on how you feel about Vergil Ortiz in all of this.
How you feel about the fight? I don't view a fight between him and Boots as being a super fight. It's a solid fight, one of the better fights to make at 154, but not a big deal.
It's not like Vergil's a champion or anything.
That in terms of legacy, what does more for Boots' legacy? Collecting a third alphabet title at your second weight, pursuing undisputed, or fighting Vergil, who's never fought for a title?
It's not a legacy fight.
Not yet. It could be, if Vergil does what he needs to do on his end to at least become a champion at junior middle. He's had plenty of time.
There's still time.
I've always thought, and still think, Boots beats Vergil Ortiz, just based on the styles. Vergil is big, and he's strong, and he hits hard, but he's simple. He's a pressure guy. Kind of guy wants to stand in front of you, shoulders square, swinging for the fences.
Kind of guy that's made to order for Boots. Those are the kind of guys he normally beats the hell out of. The aggressive ones.
So whether he beats him now, or he beats him later, it's the same for me. He beats him.
It's just the question of when do you want it to happen.
So when I say that how you feel about this situation all depends on how you feel about Vergil, well, I feel that he's a time waster. I think he's had ample time to get something done in the junior middleweight division.
He ain't done shit.
Thinks he's God's gift to boxing because he beat Madrimov off a loss and Sergey Boachuk. Are you fucking serious? Do you guys honestly believe that Team Ortiz would accept a fight with Boots for anything under 40, 50%?
You're saying that he should get less.
I would say so. You're not a world champion, and you're not a fan favorite. You don't have a big following. Boots does better numbers than you do.
He literally sells more tickets than Vergil.
I would say that if Vergil goes in there with Sebastian Fundora, stops him, knocks him out, takes his belt, now the fight is bigger. Now the fight is worth something. You could do it, and if you did, I'd watch it. But it's not a super fight.
Not now, it ain't.
It could be, if Vergil decides to get off his ass and do something and stop letting his father and Rick do all the thinking for him. You're supposed to be the one that gets on the horn and puts pressure on Sebastian. You're supposed to be your biggest advocate, and you're not. You're letting these guys stagnate your career.
Do something.